Okay, hello and welcome to the 16th video in this series. Thank you all so much for watching, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So as I promised in the previous video, we are going to handle the player death animation, and also something that I thought about in the previous video is that we don't have a player hit animation. So when the enemy hits the player, there should be some kind of a knockback effect where the player goes back before continuing to attack the enemy. So hopefully we'll be able to implement those two today. So first off, we'll come to our state variable here, and we'll create a variable called isDead. Let's do it again so that we can see me doing it. So we'll create a variable, just call it isDead, and it's always false. It's always false. So when you start the game, the player it's not always, it's not dead. Good. So next we would have to make a few changes so that if the player, on the floor, it would have to check for if the player is dead before it can do anything. Like right now, it's checking for only if the player is on the floor. So now we have to add additional checks, like if the player is on the floor and not is dead. So that's like an additional check. And then when we eventually add the knockback effect, we'll come back and say and it's not dead and is not knockout effect. But for now, we only have the is dead to work with. So if these two conditions are true, then you can do this. We would also come to the else and put in a check there. If not is dead, then you can play the fall animation, because there's no point falling and jumping when you're already dead. Good. Then next we would add it to so we'll add it to our attack animation. So now it would check for if you're on the floor, if you've pressed attack and you're not it's not dead, and not is dead. Okay, that's good. Let's see, where else should we check? That would be okay. Then next we would check probably the animation finished. So while it's checking for these two animations before it plays the player attacking, we could also say it should check for if the player is dead. So we could just come here and add an elif anim name. Okay, since we only have one animation that I want to check for, we don't have to use a list or an array like this. So we can just say if the anim name is equal to, probably we're going to name it. I don't think we have the death animation. Let's see. Okay, so we don't have player death animation. We'll have to come back and do that, but probably we'll name it something like death. Yes. So if the anim name is that, then you just queue free. So just, delete the player from the scene. Okay. Next would be, let's go to our die function that we had. Where is it? So yeah, so die. So instead of just, immediately going into queue free, we wanted to also check if the is dead is true. So you can just say if is dead is equals to true, then you can queue free. Or we don't even want it to queue free, we want it to play the death animation, since we already have queue free here. So if the animation name is equal to death, then you can just queue free. So it would play the death animation to the end, like completely, then it will queue free. So we just say something like animation. No, that's animation player dot play. We'll probably call it death. Okay, this is good. Let's see, what else can we, where can we put our check again? Okay, so yeah, so I just remembered now. The most important function that we should have added it to is this take damage function. So what we're going to do is that we're going to modify it a bit to add a little bit of check. Everything inside of Godot is usually check. Check if this is true. If it's true, then do this. If it's not true, then don't do this. So it's a way, all these checks, they are very important so that you won't have animations or scenes lapping over one another. So everything would have its time, and it's time to play it properly. So we have this function here. Let's just remove this. We have the take damage function. It takes damage amount. So we can just say if is dead, then you do nothing and just return it. If is dead is true, do nothing, return it. Then we'll put back the normal. I shouldn't have even cleaned it. We'll just put back the normal code that we had. Player health will be equal to minus equal to the damage amount. Okay, then we'll print the player health so that we can check if it's actually working. Prints the player health. Then we'll add the remaining, another check again. If the player health is less than or less than or equals to 0, then we just call the die function. Else we play, okay, what should we do? If the player health is less than or equals to 0, play the die function. Else, I don't have anything. Or else pass. No, let's just remove this like this. Should work like this. Yes, okay, yeah. Since we don't have anything to put there, but once we make the knockback function, I think it would make sense to put it here. So if the player health is not equal to 0, that means the player is not dead. Then you can play the knockback effect. So yeah, I think this is everything for the coding aspect. Alright, so next now would be to make the animations, which is, the fun part and the much easier part. So let's go to our 2D animation, new, let's call it death, since that is what we named it in the code, death. And we would go to our sprite 2D here, and let's see, death animation should be, where is it? Oh yeah, so it starts from 40. Okay, let's see, 40. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. Okay, I think this should be enough, right? Yeah, that's the end of the animation. So, okay, it's not 0.9, it's actually 1. No, 1.1. Good. So now let's play the death animation and see. Okay, that's good. Let's stop it. So we have our death animation. And I think that's it. That should be it, since we have already put in the code for that. So, okay, fingers crossed. Let's play it and see. Okay, so we have our player. Let's go and die and see what's going to happen. Oh, that's so perfect. Yeah. Good. So he plays the death animation, and then immediately he is deleted from the scene. Okay, so yes, I think that is for the player death animation. Then next, now we need the player hit animation, or player hit effect. So first off, we would have to go to our animation player. Let's go to our 2D animation player. Yep, make an animation. Let's just call it hit so that we can remember. Oh, you know what? No, yeah, hit is okay. Hit is more. hit. So we go, and then unfortunately we don't have like a dedicated hit, but we can take some parts of the death animation and repurpose it. So let's go to our sprite. Death animation started from 40, right? It started from 40. So 40, 41, 42. Yeah, this should be enough for death animation. Sorry, for hit animation. So this should be 0.3. Let's play it and see. Yeah, this is enough for hit animation. So let's save it. And now let's go to our code and make our changes. So first off, we would need to specify the force, or should I say the amount of force that would be applied when we are knocked back. So how far should we go? So let's just create a variable, call it knock. What's wrong with my spelling today? Knock back force. Good, but let's put a capital letter so that we can see it properly. Knockback force. Let's give it like 200. Yeah, 200 might be too much, but let's see what this 200 gets us. Then we would also add a check, as usual, if we are being hit or not. Let's just call it it's hit, and it's always false. Okay, that's good. So next we'll also add the checks to all the parts of the code that we added check for the player death animation. So now we'll check for, where is it? Yes, so at this point here, we're going to check for three things now. If it's on the floor and it's not dead and is not hit. So, and not is dead and not hit. I think that's what I call it. Oh, hit is hit. Sorry about that. And not is hit. Good. And where else did we add it? So we should also add it to our else if not dead here, and we'll just say and also is and not is hit. Sorry, is hit. So it's checking if you are not dead, and if you're not hit, then you are allowed to fall and jump and everything. Okay, so where else? Exactly. So if action attack and it's on fall and it's not dead and it's not hit, and is no and not sorry and not is hit, then you're allowed to do the attack. Then let's see where else again, because we have to be really careful about this so we don't break our code. Okay, so it seems that we'll just move to our animation finished. So we have an elif name for death. I think we should also have an elif for anim name. Sorry, anim name equals to, I think we call it hits. Okay, then it means that its hit will become, let me see, if it will become false. Let's just say false here. So if the animation name that just played is death, whatever should follow it should become queue free. That means delete the player from the game. Then if the animation is called hit, that means the player was just hit, then that means it became true, and then now change it back to false. Okay, good. And what else? Okay, so I guess we then have to make our functions to handle the knockback effect, and also we want to add a function that would calmly reduce the speed, or should I say recover from the knockback. So two functions. So let's go down to the bottom here and just create another function. We'll call it initial knockback. call the function initial knockback. So when the player is first hit, I want you to take the velocity along the x-axis, of course, except maybe in the future we're going to add knockback in the air, but that sounds very complicated. But right now, velocity along the x-axis on the floor. So if you just take the knockback force in whatever direction he's facing and times it by the direction, by the current direction, so that it would have the knockback force regardless of where the player is facing. And next now would be another function to apply the knockback force. Let's just call it apply knockback. Definitely to take delta, so that it would be it would update it every 60 seconds. Then now we would use our velocity along our x-axis to be equals to, now I learned this last week, something called lerp. So what this lerp does is that it takes the velocity the way it starts, then where you want it to get to, and then how long you want it to take to get to that velocity. So I want it to start at the velocity along the x-axis. Then I want you to stop at 0.0. That means when you are knocked back, you go back a little bit and then you stop immediately. And then we can say, okay, stop at the rate of 5, or yeah, 5 is okay, 5, then of course times delta. Times delta, okay? This is good. Okay, hopefully I don't make any mistake. Delta takes the knockback force. Alright, so then next would be, let's call, let me see, what else? Let's just call our functions so that we don't forget to call them. So we go to our physics process. Let's see our physics process at the top, where we have our applied gravity. So we'll just come and say if is hit is true. We can say if is hit is true, or we can just do it like this. So if is hit is true, then I want you to call which one first? Call this apply knockback. Let's just copy it. And where are you? Call apply knockback. Yeah. Okay. Then there is one more part that I always forget, which is the place that we left for the next hit attack. Yes. So if player health is less than or equal to 0, then die. If it's not, LF. If it's not, sorry, not LF, else is hit. That means is hit is true, and then that means we want to play the animation player dot play hits, and then call the initial knockback. Call the initial knockback. So its hit has become true. You play the hit animation and then you activate the initial knockback, which would push the player's sprites back a little bit. Back by how much force? This force here. Okay, so hopefully there's no other parts that we need to adjust. Alright, fingers crossed. Let's play it and see. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's working, but it's not even okay, so it's working, but it's not even letting me, it's not letting me to hit the, come on. Okay, so maybe the time interval between the hit animation and me attacking is too small. So let's go to our enemy, let's go to our timer here. Let's increase it to 4 seconds. It's too much, but let's just see if it works. 4 seconds. Let's play it and see. Go hit. Oh no. Still not enough. Let's see 3. save it, or let's reduce the knockback force. Where is it? Let's reduce it to 150. Maybe it's too much. Let's go attack. Okay, yes, so it's much better now. Oh, ding, ding. Okay, yes, so it's much better now. But yeah, so we've just put in the foundations for the hit attack. So hopefully in future videos we would clear it up and make it more fair and more usable. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.